Hello and welcome. I'm Stu, and today's project is a piece of Laurel. Now the piece of wood I've got here is Laurel, of course, and it's quite dried out, I think. But it's got a huge crack in it and maybe a little amount of rot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it down to a cylinder shape. Then probably fill in this crack with some resin and we'll see how it goes from there. Now the last time I turned a piece of this tree it made a fantastic little item, so hopefully this is going to do the same thing. So let's get on with some turning. Right, I've got it down to a nice cylinder shape, but it's far too long. It's a vase I want to make, so this is too long. So I'm going to cut off about 4 inches. Lying round. I'm using laminating sheet to make the moulds, then hot gluing it down. Okay, that's the mould made now. This wood looks like it's going to be quite absorbent to resin, so I might get quite a bit of bleed through with the resin when it's poured. I'm not sure if I shouldn't have tried to seal the wood first, but anyway, we'll find out later on. I've decided to use a blue dyed resin. I'm going to use these 2 colours of blue, one's a bit more silver than the other. Another go. I'm going to go with a moment of truth with the resin and the mould. Let's see what happens, how many leaks we get. That's a bit of a downer, not quite enough mixed. Right, as you can see, the level in here has dropped by about 2 inches. And I've seen that it's coming up the other cracks now from underneath. There's been 1 leak so far, which I managed to stop. I don't know if that's leaking there. There's definitely another leak there, so I'm going to have to get on with that. Okay, that's the mould filled. No leaks now, there were some little ones, but they're all right now. The resin's been set for 2 days, so I'm going to take all the mould off. I'm just going to start off with turning a tenon at either end so that I can start using the chuck. I'm going to smooth out the resin down to the wood surface because at the moment it's a bit raised from the surface of the cylinder. Right, so it's down to a nice smooth cylinder shape again, but there is quite a few points where the wood is rotten or getting rotten. I think I'm going to stabilise it a little bit with some super glue to stop too much chip out. I've given the whole thing the super glue treatment, and now I'm going to have a go at turning it. This is the shape of the design that I want to get. Well, something similar to that. Now I've got the basic shape. It's obviously not finished yet. So I think I'm going to start and take the centre out. I've made this small end boss so that I can line up the centre easily. Because I want this vase to be functional, the inside's going to have to be waterproof. So what I'm planning on doing is cutting it around about here and turning this side out. Then afterwards turn the other side out and then put some waterproof lining inside, which will probably be fiberglass resin. Okay, that's it in two, so now I'm going to drill the centre out. Right, and now I've got the other end in and I'm going to drill the centre out of this one. Right, I've mixed up some fiberglass resin, and I don't know if this is the best stuff to use or not, but it sets a bit quicker than epoxy resin, so I'm going to try it anyway. Both parts have had a real good coating now, so I think I'll give it one more coat before it sets. Now it's dry inside, I'm going to glue it back together with some 2-part epoxy glue. There's still some quite bad cracks that I need to address, and what I'm going to do is use this cone-shaped router bit to dig out the crack and fill them with Milliput. I'm just going to turn this joint down and clean it up a little bit. Now that that's done, I want to put something in here to be able to cover up this joint. So I'm going to make a groove, which I'll fill with Milliput and create some sort of pattern. I'm just going to sand this up to about 240 before I put the Milliput on. I've mixed up some black Milliput, and I'm going to fill in these 2 grooves. All the Milliput's on, so all I've got to do now is wait for it to dry. Time to start taking the Milliput down to size. Let's see how it comes out. While I was cleaning up this bottom part, I managed to go all the way through the Milliput ring. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do another ring here and just leave it blank and sand it out. I've turned the piece around because I want to remove the tenon and clean it up ready for the next stage. Now that I've got rid of the tenon, I'll make a small mortise in the bottom so that I will be able to turn the job around later on. It'll also make a place for my logo to sit. Looking here, you can see that there's a lot of end grain chip out that I'm going to try and remove with a brand new carbide tip. I've done it in the past, and it's managed to reduce it to almost nothing. As you can see, that's removed most of the end grain cut out, and it's pretty smooth now. I'm just going to sand it up to 400. That's what it looks like at 400, not bad. I'm now going to swap ends and turn out the top half. I think I've got the final shape, that just leaves a lot of sanding to do. The whole thing's been sanded to 600 and it's now ready for finishing, so I'm going to get ready for lacquer. Probably in about another 5 or 6 coats, everything should be just hunky-dory. The lacquering's finished. Sanding to 600 was carried out between coats. All that's left to do now is to fit my logo.